What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking how to get into Dungeons and Dragons. The number one problem I hear from people is they're not sure how to get into the game. There's so much setup that needs to be done, you need so many players, but the payoff is worth it. So I'm going to suggest a couple of ideas on how to get the game going. Number one, try your local game stores. I hope you're playing and supporting them anyway, but if you're not, check them out for Dungeons and Dragons. There's normally a handful of groups going on at once to try the game out, and maybe even be a dungeon master yourself. That takes me on to point two. Being a dungeon master is absolutely going to help in setting up your first game. If you can create a story, have the miniatures ready, have the maps ready, all of this stuff, and people just need to jump into it and play it, you're much more likely to find players. Number three, and probably my favourite way, friends and family. I'm sure you're sat at home with a ton of friends that play RPGs online like Skyrim, Fallout, maybe even the Dungeons and Dragons games themselves. These are the kind of people you want to ask. Maybe you've got some close friends or family. If you're passionate about something, they're more than likely going to try it out with you, and I guarantee if they try it out, they will fall in love with this game. It's not only one of my favourite tabletop games, it's one of my favourite games of all time, if not the favourite game. There's just so much you can do in it, there's so many different ways you can build a world, create a character, create a scenario. It's actually endless. It's all in your imagination, so you can create anything, and I think that's what I love about the game. It's something most people start when they're younger and it's carried over to when they're adults. I would say it's for any ages, absolutely. Most people I've played with are my age, if not older. I think that's why I enjoy it so much. It sort of carries over that imagination from your childhood. The game works in so many different ways. Improv, roleplay, team building, social interaction. There's so many benefits from playing this game. And again, I know I only have good things to say, but it's just because I absolutely adore the game. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably want to try it yourself, and you're probably going to find the same thing. So let's move into how it works and what you're going to need to play. First off, the absolute essential is the player's handbook. Now in Dungeons & Dragons there's different editions, so this is 5th, we've got 4th edition here, it goes all the way back to 1, 2, 3, there's advanced D&D, there's so many different variations. For this one I'm going to focus on 5th edition, but any you can get your hands on is great, just give it a go. And basically what this is it lets you create your character, choose your spells, attacks, weapons, even build some of your world. It gives you sort of rough ideas for scenarios, stats for weapons, names. It's got absolutely everything you'll need to start the game. On top of this, you've got various options. You can pick up the Dungeon Master Guide, you can pick up Monster Manual, 1, 2, however many there are. The Monster Manual will give you stats for the monsters, making it easier to create encounters, and the DM's Guide will give you sort of advice. And if you're starting out, that's probably a good pickup as well. Now monsters do come with cards which have the stats on, so don't worry if you haven't got the manual. I think it's better you pick it up when you start. Although saying that, if you come up against a rule in a game that you're not sure of, don't stop and flick through the handbook. Nobody wants to spend 5-10 minutes checking that. Make up your own rule on the spot, come back to it after the game, and that will just keep things rolling. What you have to remember is this is a roleplay game. It's about your imagination, so you can bend the rules. Remember, this is a guide, not the law. Now, after that, I would suggest picking up a Dungeon Master screen. So how that works is, it's basically a large bit of card with a cool design on the front. On the back are, I'll just show you quickly. So I don't know if you can see that. Basically, it's got stats, it's got names, it's got quick rules, it's got everything you need to quickly look something up. I would say this is probably essential starting out, especially as a Dungeon Master. You've got so much to remember as it is. This just saves you in some scenarios. Another awesome feature it has is it covers all the cool monsters you've got. So if you want to hide something particularly cool that you've got ready for this game, for example this guy, I picked him up because he looks sort of like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. But also, it hides your rolls. So for example, you're attacking with a monster against a player. Roll behind your screen. The players can't see it. You can see it. What this enables you to do is fudge some of the rolls. Now I wouldn't say do this on the regular, just if they're finding an encounter too easy or too hard, or a character's going to die trying something really cool that added to the story, or There's so many scenarios where you might just want to fudge a roll. It could be in their favour, it could be against them. Obviously, don't just keep changing your roles, make the game fair. You're here for them, you're telling them a story, you're not here against them. It's not Dungeon Master versus player. You're all in this together, you're telling a story and they're supposed to be enjoying it. And sometimes you might want to fudge a roll to aid in that. Obviously, every Dungeon Master is going to be different. Some players don't agree with it, some do. It's completely up to you guys what you do in your home games. Anything you need to do to have fun with your friends, relatives, anyone who's playing with you, go ahead, because that's what this game's about. Now, all this stuff is cool, but one of the coolest parts for me, minis. Now, these aren't essential. If you ask a lot of people, the game is simply role-playing. You do not need these. I think it adds another dimension to the game. I think it's a good way to draw people in as well. So, for example, we've got the... Actually, we'll start with the little guy. So we've got like a tiny goblin. I don't know if you can see that, if it's in focus. This little guy is a minion. He probably dies in a hit. There's probably 10 of these in a scenario. They're sort of throwaway characters. But it's always cool to have these guys. There's nothing like a player swinging through and one-hitting a goblin to give them the feel of sort of power. Then we've got the slightly more interesting monsters. So this one's a Mind Flayer. That's a pretty iconic Dungeons and Dragons monster. And what this does is it controls the battlefield. It's a little more powerful. I say a little more powerful. It's a lot more powerful than a little guy like this. It adds something to the battles. It's not just hack and slash, roll dice. It's a challenge. Some way they have to get around it. They have to learn what it does and beat it. And I think the cooler the monster gets, the more interesting the battles are. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not just about battling. The story is everything. These fill in the spaces. You can't beat having a cool monster. It really adds something. And like I said, I've got this guy who looks like the Demogorgon, I think anyway, which is why I picked it up. We're going to do sort of an upside down thing. Stranger Things 2 has just come out, so it's perfect timing. And then you've got sort of, I would say this would round out a story arc. So maybe there's been sort of a dragon cult trying to gather together bones or something to bring back a dragon, or it's been woken from slumber, something cool like that. It's the end of the storyline. You get into a point where at least this arc of the story's done. You want a big bad guy like this. You don't need it, absolutely you do not need any of this, but something cool like that after, let's say you play once a month, after maybe even a year of playing, it could be, if you play that frequently. This is the final fight is such a huge payoff. I don't know if you saw Tiamat in the background. And on my shirt, actually. I don't know if anyone remembers the cartoon, but as well as loving the game, yeah, that sort of brings back memories too. Now, you've got your minis, you've got your book, you've got your characters, you're all ready to go. One more thing you should prepare before going into a game. The map. This is how I do it. I draw out squares and I draw my own map. I don't know if you can actually see that. Now, this is time consuming. You can just buy maps, you can buy buildings, you can buy everything you need. This is for when I can't find a map that fits my story. I'll draw it out, I'll normally colour it in, make it a bit more interesting. So it'll be down like this, so you can add buildings and stuff. You probably want a couple of these stuck together. But it's a great way if you're just starting to test the game out. So, you've started playing, you've introduced a character. You've written for this character to guide the members of the party through the story. They get to him and they're a little trigger happy. They kill him before you get a chance. It changes your story. Don't try and write it out. Let it happen. Go with it. Improvise. You might have spent a lot of time writing something out, but you're not writing a linear story. You want to give them the feel it's an open world and they can do absolutely anything. You can always work it back to your story, maybe take a detour, come back round. Never try and force the story. Let it happen, let it play out. Some of the most interesting stories and experiences for me in this game have been when I've designed something and the people playing have come to it and found a different way around it. That's what this game is for. Don't discourage that. Character creation. Now this will take some time, but I would earmark maybe an hour, hour and a half for the first session on just creating characters. Let's say your campaign is going to run for a year, 2 years. That's not unlikely, especially if you only play once a month. They're going to be playing this character for a long time. They want to be invested in it. They want to create every aspect of it. Let them do that. Let them pick their gear, their race, their class, absolutely everything. Let them create a backstory. and you can work that into your story in some way. There's just so much to do in terms of creating a character, and that's going to set the precedent for the campaign, so let the players enjoy it and then weave it into your story as you go. Now, if you're a little impatient and you want to jump straight into the game, I would pick up a player's handbook, I would buy the maps, I would buy a handful of minis or cardboard cutouts or pogs or anything, and you can find written stories online. You can find professionally made Dungeons and Dragons stories which you can buy, or I would suggest checking out Acquisitions Incorporated podcast. You could perhaps run through their story or use it as a guide at least. Chris Perkins has so many YouTube videos running through different scenarios. There's just so much content out there that you could use. So don't let any of that put you off. If you're just trying to start out and it's all a little overwhelming, check out some videos, check out some written stories. Message me and I'm more than happy to help you write a story. I mean, it depends how many of you message me that, but I'll try and help in any way I can. A few little bits that are good to have: extra dice. You're going to want to set yourself. What you'll have is a D20, D10. This is testing my memory. D12, D4, D6, D8. I think that's all of them. It's always good to have spares because you can always lose them, or you'll need multiple of one dice for an attack. Pencils is another good one. You're going to need rubbers. Above all else, have fun. Like I say, there's so many different things you can do in this game. It's endless. And I don't mean that as in Skyrim when it says it's open world. There's no DLC in this game. This genuinely is open world. You can do absolutely anything. So grab some buddies, grab some miniatures, grab some books, characters, story, everything. Get it all together, because I guarantee anyone trying this game will fall in love with it. Hopefully this has helped, and hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you try out the game and this video has helped in some way, please drop a comment below and let me know. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, again, drop it below. I'm more than happy to help. If you would like me to get more in depth with this and maybe do a character creation episode, a story writing episode, map creation, absolutely anything, let me know below and I'm more than happy to do that. I'll probably be doing some more videos for this anyway. And until next time, see ya!